So, xpeng just released its Iron Humanoid, and it's looking like Tesla Optimus might be cooked. But Iron looks so good that people think it's a human in a suit. So, today on AI News, we're going to take a closer, slower look at what's inside from several angles to find out if seeing is really believing. And stay until the end to see the bare naked robot in its entirety. But first, we're going to start with this far-off view that they provided after they had removed the back garment here, as well as rolled up the sleeves and exposed the hands. You can see a little bit of the interior, but I'll give you a closer look in just a second of the back, hands, and arms. But look at the gait, the way that this robot walks at the end. I'll show you the spine that allows this to be possible in its bare entirety. Now here's another angle of the robot walking up to the CEO just before they start undressing it to verify that it's not a human. And there were no cuts in this. And there are some things to note which I'll go through one by one. But I actually decided to slow down this video when they do the undressing so that we can see every bit that is possible. Let's take a look at this view of the robot being undressed from the back. And I've slowed this down to 1/4 of the speed so that we can really see all of the components inside. Starting with the top, as she unzips this garment. First thing that we notice is this 3D lattice structure inside. And something to note is that it looks like there are multiple layers of the structure. And in just a second, you'll see the power components down below. But first, when she opens up the top of the garment to reveal more of this 3D lattice structure, the question is, how many layers are actually inside? And will this affect production? Looks like it's quite a complex design. Now she moves down the back and we can start to see what looks like might be a power supply. And the purple light could be something connecting to the edge computing, the hardware to power the AI inference. And in just a second, they pan away from the back towards the arm here. They take a brief look, and I'm going to show you a much better look in just a second of the forearm and the hand. But they go back to the rear and they inspect this one more time. And something to note is that there are multiple layers inside. Looks like at least 2 layers of 3D lattice structure, and then another layer of some type of a garment inside of the outer garment. Be interesting to know whether or not this is fireproof. This would be very important. Now they go to the front of the robot, and this is where they start to reveal the arms and hands, which are very interesting. Starting with the arms, you can see that when they 3D printed this 3D lattice structure, it looks like there's almost muscles built in to allow this to flex and move. And they're noting that there can't be a person inside because there are holes. Although looking at the hands becomes even more definitive proof. These are the hands with 22 degrees of freedom upgraded from the previous generation. Tell me in the comments whether or not these look like they're back drivable. But you can see here they actually have thumbnails on them which could increase the overall gripping power. But unlike other robots that we've seen this year, there are no rubber surfaces inside to increase the grip. But these hands are human-sized to be able to interact with objects and tools that people normally would. And the CEO says that there couldn't possibly be anyone inside. But I'm about to show you another clip of some more definitive evidence of the legs being disassembled. So, here's another clip that I've speeded up, and this is the robot being cut apart. You can see first they start with this outer garment layer, and then they start to cut away at the interior 3D lattice structure that looks to be 3D printed. And it does look like, indeed, there are 2 layers of 3D lattice structure. Although tell me what you think in just a second when she removes this final piece of cloth, and she starts to cut away at this 3D printed structure here. And something interesting to note is the way that the knee flexes because of this 3D printed structure. This 3D lattice allows for shifting and flexing without breaking the overall form. And here she is removing the entire piece from the leg to expose the interior calf muscle. Looks like there are 2 actuators to act as the calf muscle. And here they have the robot walk after removing these pieces. And the CEO noted that this proves that the robot is quite difficult to damage. And you can see these parts inside, which we're going to take a closer look at in just a second. And finally, here is the view of the entire robot bear with all of its components showing except for its feet. But you can actually see the 3D curve display a little bit better from this angle as well. And the CEO gets to talking about the design of the spine of this robot, allowing it to do this catwalk, 1 foot in front of the other. And this is thanks to the robot's 82 degrees of freedom with 4 degrees of freedom in its bionic shoulders and its spine, which allow it to pull off this gait which is arguably the most human of all yet. But then he starts talking about the imitation learning regimen that they went through with the Iron to teach it this dance in just 2 hours. And he talks about providing the data from human motion capture and just giving it to the robot to learn in a very short period of time. And the question is, how can this be applied to other tasks? Notice that the hands are not affixed with this demo of the robot dancing. It would be interesting to see what type of dexterous tasks the robot can do next. And here's another front view of the robot dancing. 82 degrees of freedom, although can't really see the battery as well. Let's take a look at the back of the robot one more time. See if we can identify anywhere that the battery would go. So I'm gonna slow down the video to 25%. Let's take one more look at the rear. Looks like this is number 2, and there's a safety stop button. You can see the red button on the back there. But it's tough to see which of these components is the solid-state battery or is it hidden under. Look at those shoulders, the way that they move. One more question on everyone's mind is when you compare the robot clothed versus unclothed, what is in the butt? Is it just the 3D lattice structure that makes the clothed version look like it has a much larger butt? Because the unclothed bare metal version doesn't look like it has much behind. Tell me what you think in the comments. Is that purely a visual add-on, or are there some type of components that are being covered over? It looks like there are 2 drives there, but they don't really make up for the space of the original size of the robot when clothed with this 3D lattice structure. Anyways, tell me which part of the robot you want to see revealed next. Like and subscribe. Check out this video here. And thanks for watching. Bye.